Good morning, afternoon or evening, people, wherever you may be in this wonderful world. First of all, can everyone see and hear me? Because I had a little bit of a meltdown panic just before we got going. Just give me a yes or something, please, in the chat before I start waffling on. Annette Vaughan said yes, good. So someone can see and hear me at least. Hopefully everybody can. Can somebody else just confirm that? Just say yes, you can hear me or something. Good. Right, brilliant. We're rocking and rolling. Thank you. There was a delay. Something did happen. Anyway, welcome to another Photo Creative Challenge. If you're new here or you're wondering what this is, it is a series of monthly photo challenges which happen in a Facebook group. I've been a photographer and trainer for more years than I can remember. I've travelled all over the world. There we go, that side, won awards and things for my photography and for my training. So this is like a workout for you and your creativity and your camera. And then we come here, we meet, do a feedback session and have a little bit of a chat. So good to see everybody. Good. Lovely to see everyone. It always amuses me looking at the chat and just sort of seeing you all having a chat and a conversation. Don, thank you so much for making a donation there. Donations are not expected, but they're very much appreciated because they are what help to pay for the time it takes to set this up and all the rest of it. Because hey, at the end of the day, I'm sorry, I'm not a charity, you know. I have to pay the rent and the bills just like you do. So before we go any further, please remember to hit that like button because it really helps. Just give that like button a ping now. I hope you're sitting comfy. I've got a mug of tea tonight. And I think without further ado, why don't we just jump straight into the pictures. Let's go have a look and see what you came up with. I was very surprised that there were so many entries. I truly didn't expect you guys to jump on board with the portrait challenge anything like the amount that you did, because hey, not everyone is up for photographing people. So let's just move that so I can see things. Those of you who were here last time, I showed you behind the scenes what I have to do and all the different windows I got open and the two screens going on and all that good stuff. So here we go. Right, I can see the chat. Good. And your lovely pictures. Let's just move that. I don't know why I'm saying move that because you can't see what the hell I'm moving. But anyway. Right, all good. So let's have a look. See how you guys got on. Because there's some brilliant pictures here. There's also obviously a few, well, you know, the photographer needs some help, and that's what these feedback sessions are about. I try to pick on images and talk about the ones that will give the most benefit to the most number of people in the group. I may ask you some questions, so be ready in the chat. So why don't we just dive in? Who's this? Let's have a look. Gert Hellstrom. Hey Gert. Portrait of a girl memorizing the roping skill needed to rope a calf, hence the closed eyes. So what can I say, Gert? Okay, let's start right at the beginning. The light isn't brilliant, my friend, and also your depth of field is a little deep. So therefore, she's sort of colliding with the background. If you could have used a wider aperture and a longer lens, that would have been brilliant, because we'd have just separated your subject from the background. Now, I think it's an interesting pose, but here's the thing. Without having the knowledge that you've got, that she's got her eyes closed because she's memorizing a skill, what we've got here is someone blinking or just with their eyes closed. This is one of those things. We have to remember to disengage ourselves from the from what's going on. You know she's got her eyes closed, but remember your viewer doesn't. All they've got is the picture. So, right, hang on, we've got a problem. I'm pausing. What's going on? I can see people saying they can't hear me and things like that, and I've no idea why. I wish I could fix these things for you. I don't know why. My sound levels appear to be good. My audio levels, my mics are showing up as being okay. It says it's a bit quiet. Nothing in the right, but all right in the left. Yes, somebody else has said this, and I'm sorry, I just do not know why. I'm using a stereo Lavalier mic, which sits on my t-shirt here. I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do about it, guys. I'm really sorry. I don't know why it's coming out of one side. It did this the other day, and I don't know why. Anyway, let's move on. I wish I could solve all your tech issues, but I can't. I'm sorry. Okay, back to Gert's picture. Nice thought. The light is kind of flat, and because it's coming straight down, she's got a very deep shadow across those eyes, which, as I said, are closed. So without knowing what you know, that she is mentally practicing, something you can do with photography, by the way, everybody, what we have is a photograph of someone with their eyes closed. I hope that helps, Gert. Anyway, let's move on to something else. Thank you, Jane. Thank you for letting me know that it's now a bit better. Now I've moved the mic. Weird, because I haven't moved it very much. Very strange. What have we got here? Sam. Hey, Sam. You're a long-term member of this wonderful group. Sam, I have to say, right, your light is pretty good, and I quite like the environment as well. I like that pub environment. But that hand in the middle is really distracting. The other thing I would suggest to you is this a portrait? A question I would ask everybody, actually. Is this a portrait? Or is it a documentary photograph? How do we define portrait? Whenever doing these challenges, I strongly recommend go and look up the word portrait or whatever it may be, because it will help you get some clues. To my mind, a portrait is a photograph of someone, or maybe a family or a group that have a connection. But that photograph tells us something about that person or people, persons. Whereas when you have something like this, two people kind of interacting, but they have no engagement with the camera whatsoever, I would say that's more of a documentary picture. It's a nice picture, Sam. Is it a portrait? I don't quite think so. There's a few other guys here who tend to agree. Maybe everyone who's being quiet disagrees. But it's a nice picture. Your exposure is nice. I quite like the light, even though there's a shiny bit on the man's forehead. But I don't quite get that it's a portrait, my friend. There's a few like this, so we will dig in as we go. There's a lot of pictures which I think are pictures of someone rather than a portrait. This portrait thing needs to tell us something. By the way, I just said someone engaging with the photographer with the camera. You can do a portrait without that, but it's tricky. It's much more tricky to try and get a portrait like that. Now here's one here. Harry Crossland. Harry, we know you're a good photographer. You've been around this for some time. This is a studio portrait. Now this portrait is saying something about the girl. She's obviously very girly. The pink golf clubs and the golf club bag and the pink golf ball, the red dress. Now she's looking out of the frame, but I would still say that is very definitely a portrait. There are clues as well, obviously. The light on the background, you know, it is a mottled studio background. Nothing wrong with it at all. It's a really nicely done photograph. I would say it is out of the reach of most people who don't have a studio to work in. However, it's definitely a portrait, and I still think it works, even though there isn't an engagement with the person, with the subject of the portrait. But they say that the eyes are a window into the soul, and I think it's really important to do something with eyes. Whose eyes are these? Peter Ashcroft, reclining nude with enchanting eyes. The I word. Now look, 38 of you liked it. So And I don't tend to look at who likes what, but I think that says something because the eyes are really, really engaging. Peter, there is some nice light going on here. There's no two ways about it. The catch lights in the dog's eyes. Looking at those catch lights, I am wondering if you've got a studio light going on, or possibly it's a window. If you're here, do please tell me. Now then, I think you could do with a little bit more room around your dog. I feel that he or she is kind of crushed into the corner a little bit. Now we can see a bit of blanket going on in the background. Maybe just if you turned your camera to the left just a little bit, which would then move these eyes into the right of the frame, and you wouldn't have quite so much crowding going on back here. But it's a great expression. Technically spot on, exposure's great, light's great, focus is great, it's lovely and sharp. What more can I say? It's a nice photograph. Light, I keep talking about light. Everybody, you must look at light and learn to see and use light. It is so, so important. I say this month after month and week after week in various different places. Light is the killer. It's not your lens, it's not your camera, it's not the software you use. It is understanding light. Look at the amazing photographs taken pre-1980 or pre-1940. All those old photographs that look fantastic. It's because the light is working. Learn to look at light. Now, we've got a highlight on the body, which is a little bright. It's not bright, sorry, it's eye-catching because it's a large body. But look, that then falls off into a shadow. All these little highlights in the hair and all these little soft shadows. The light is coming from behind. And that is what is bringing out the textures and shapes. Learn to look at light, people. It is so important. Clint Haskins is asking, is that a wig? It's a very stylish one. Nice work, Peter. I'm staying a little while at the top here, aren't I? Nick Smith, lifestyle portrait of our daughter-in-law preparing the first pizzas. Try it in the new pizza oven. There's something about this I really like, Nick, and that is the reflection going on over here. But again, I feel this is more of a documentary shot, not quite a portrait. Maybe it is a portrait, a lifestyle portrait, I'm not sure. For me, it doesn't quite sit as portrait, even as a lifestyle one. Why? I think you could have made more of that reflection, because that reflection is fantastic. Maybe if you could have got a little higher up so that you can see more, maybe looking down a bit more, there would have been more of your daughter-in-law in that reflection. It's a good fun photograph. Yeah, technically, again, great, exposure's great, everything's nice and sharp. There we go. But I do think you could have made more of this thing going on the left, whatever it may be. Let's scroll on down just a bit further because there are so many. There are loads of brilliant pictures in here. I don't want to spend all my time just talking about the ones that I think are brilliant. Hang on, let's click that. Who's this? Orion Thrower, another dog portrait. Maud McLean, sorry I'm a wee bit late to the party. You're in trouble, Maud. Anyway, another beautiful portrait. Now this time we've gone in a lot closer. Nice work, Orion. We've got a beautiful catch light in the eye, which I'm guessing is a window. Do tell me if you're here, Orion. Again, the light is really nice. The light is washing back across the dog's face. Look, we've got bright and it's falling off. It's getting darker to the back. And that's because the dog's facing the light and there's a darker room behind. The reason this light works is because it's washing back across the face. Again, we've got a portrait where the sitter, the subject, isn't looking straight towards the camera. Does it matter? I think it's a really nice, insightful portrait of this dog, Kodiak. Because, I don't know, I think this dog looks thoughtful. What do you think? Do you think the dog looks thoughtful? Please just pop something in the chat. Because I'm always interested to know what you think. You know, I'm just a guy sitting in his office talking to a computer. I so wish we were all in a room. But I do think wistful, that's a really good word, Alison. Yeah. Wistful, thoughtful. this is what I mean about portrait, capturing a little bit of spirit, a little bit of something about. Kenneth Caldwell said, posty, meaning dog wants to go and Kodiak wants to go and bite the postman. I have to say something about this photograph from Donald Todd, because I love, 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 love this picture. This is such a bit of me, isn't it? An incredibly powerful photograph. Again, Donald, I'm going to ask the question, is it a portrait? I'm just throwing this open to everybody. Do you think this is a portrait? I think it's an amazing photograph, a very powerful piece of street photography, event photography, certainly documentary, and I can talk about the light and all the rest of it in a moment. But is it a portrait? Are we getting a little window into the soul of someone or an animal or a pet or something? Yeah. Okay. There's not so many of this. How many of you? There's quite a few of you guys here, but there's not so many people joining in. So come on, you have to get onto the pitch if you want to learn how to play. Yes, I agree, everybody. It's a great, powerful photograph, and I so wish it was one of mine. Yeah, technically spot on. And there are certain things in this picture which are really working, things for you to look out for when you're wandering around in the world, going photo hunting. Look at those clouds. Look at the lines in them. Look, line, line. There's all these sort of lines in the clouds, and look where they're going. They are all pulling you in towards the main part of the picture. These are photographer skills, seeing what's happening in the world around you. It's not just having a great camera and going somewhere interesting. You've got to notice what's happening. Look at these birds, these crows or whatever they are, circling. They give it a huge... Someone just said that, Martin Lacey. I was just going to say this. The birds give it a massive feeling of atmosphere in that moody sky. It is taken at the perfect moment. Sorry, Donald, I don't quite feel that it's a portrait. Hello, Amanda Newell. Thank you for coming. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Beverly Devine, Tim Gray, David, Jane Barnes, who's always here first all the way from New Zealand. Thank you, Carrie Arles. That's very kind of you. Carrie's just made a little donation to help keep the group rocking and rolling. You can do that. There is a link below this which will take you to the webpage where we publish the challenges, where you can sign up, you can make a donation if you wish. If everybody just donated the cost of a coffee a month, then we could start bringing in some really interesting guests. I do this with my paid group. There's a small group, my mentor group. We've just had the amazing Claire Thomas, who is an incredible documentary, war photographer, fine art photographer. She came and joined us twice and had a little talk with everyone, and she also set a challenge and gave feedback. We might be able to do something like that here, but I'm sorry it doesn't generate the revenue to spend the time on it. Brandon Cook, great idea, Brandon. Great idea. Sorry, my friend, for me it doesn't quite work. Here's why. Firstly, the way the girl is sitting, she's very sort of awkward, hunchbacked. Now, I'm not suggesting micromanaging a portrait, but there are things we can do to get the sitter a little more alert. So there's little things like when you're looking through the viewfinder, you think, oh look, you've kind of got a very curved back, you're very slumpy around the shoulders. You can just tell someone. You don't have to tell them, right, put your shoulders back, put your chin up, micromanage, but you can say, as you sit like that, it's kind of awkward. You look a bit hunchy back and leany forward and slumpy. And then she will probably go, oh, how's this? And then it's a natural reaction, and you're getting something more of that person coming out in the photograph. You've got some quite nice light going on here, Brandon. It's nice and flat. It's a little bit blue on your sitter because they're in the shade. Think about your white balance settings. Now also think about your background. I love the railway line idea. But I find that this tanker in the corner and that very bright highlight in the greenery is such a distraction from your subject, from the person who's showing us a little window into the soul. I just think maybe if you'd moved a little to the right and not had the tanker in there, or possibly had the tanker in there but just blurred it out, you know, used a wider aperture and a slightly longer lens. Because look, longer lenses, they don't just make far off things come closer, they narrow a field of view. They do suck things in closer, and although people say, oh no, 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 they don't compress perspective, they do to an extent because of the magnification. Yes, you can get the same effect by cropping, however, you still don't get the background pulled in, and you don't quite get the same effect. It's subtle, but it's there. Thank you, Maud McLean. You trying to get me to buy you a drink when you come on the Ireland workshop. Anyway, that's a little thought. Lenses, narrow field of view, they compress things, and they're much, much easier for getting a soft, blurry background. Great attempt though, Brandon. Great attempt. Went off on a tangent again, didn't I? I apologise. Bob Williers. Never worked with animals or children. Fair enough. Okay, you know what I'm going to say, don't you, Bob? It's a really nice picture of an orchid. I'm sorry, I don't quite get portrait from that in any way. Let's move down a little bit further. There's lots I want to talk about in here, but I've got to restrain myself. Here's a nice side. Ah, it's our friend Hervé. I just saw you in the chat saying you're in Kent. What are you doing in Kent, man? You're usually off in some part of the world travelling and doing cool stuff. Hervé, you are a street photographer par excellence, and you have a very definitive, distinctive style. There's things about this I really like. There's things I'm not sure about. Again, I'm going to say, is it a portrait? I'm not so sure that I quite get the portrait feeling from it. But I love the light. I love this rim light, and I love the fact you've just got a little bit of that light there. I'm guessing that is the sun sneaking over a wall or something like that. I feel it could be a little brighter if you wanted it to be. David Cunningham, thank you, sir. I feel it could be a little bit brighter if you wanted it to be, and I don't think it would damage that highlight. I'd like to see her just looking over her shoulder at you. If you'd sort of gone, hey neighbour, and she'd sort of gone, oh, it's you again. Do you know what I mean? Some kind of an engagement, a reaction. We'd see a little bit of her soul and who this lady is. Sun over the roof, I thought it might be. Yeah, it's a very Hervé photograph. For those who don't know, we were doing the workshop in Morocco, and I suddenly got shouted at by someone saying, oi, get out of my picture. It was Hervé. He just happened to be in Morocco travelling at the same time. What do we got here? Adrian John Jones. Model preparing for a photo shoot taken at my local camera club. Very definitely documentary, Adrian. We can see the ring flash, we can see someone setting up with a camera and all this kind of stuff, and your model faffing her hair. Unfortunate she's got her eyes half closed. You caught her mid-blink there. Yeah, I'm not quite getting portrait. It's not a portrait. It's a documentary picture of someone about to have a portrait taken. Shame you got the blink in there as well. Simon Hookway, taken at Bewley, not far from where I live. I was at Bewley not long ago, about a week or two ago. I know the events manager there. It's a brilliant place. Strongly recommend you go to the National Motor Museum Palace House in Bewley in the New Forest, because it is an amazing day out. Lovely, lovely picture, Simon. Great picture. I'm guessing this is your granddaughter, your daughter, something like that. Yeah, the light's kind of nice. Her expression to me feels like it's a little bit apprehensive. I don't know. Hello, Simon. Was visiting family down south. All right, nice. I hope you enjoyed your day at Bewley. Your great niece. I feel that Yeah, her expression is just a little apprehensive. I'm not quite sure what it is. I'm wondering if maybe you were obviously concentrating on the photo because you got some nice ingredients there. I like the greenery, I like the red flowers, I like the wall that she's leaning against and the light and the way the path is sort of going off somewhere that we don't know about because you've got a nice shallow depth of field. Clint Haskins says it has the look of an old Polaroid. Yeah, I would agree. There's some quite nice light. I just feel she looks apprehensive. Maybe she's not. Orion says he loves the expression. There we go, you see. I'm not so keen on the expression. Orion loves it. Haha, you're staying in Hollands Wood campsite, are you, Emily Jones? Wow, thank you for being here. Hollands Wood. That's the one in Brockenhurst, I think, isn't it? Go to the bakery if you're in Brockenhurst. Go to the bakery in Brockenhurst High Street. It is the best bakery par none. And if the owner Nikki is there, tell her I sent you. Very slim girl, longish hair, probably tied up. She's the boss. Best bakery ever. Portrait of a squirrel, Jonathan Kimberley. Let's have a look, because we haven't got very many animal portraits. I didn't say animals weren't allowed, and I did see a discussion. Are we allowed to photograph? Stop worrying about getting it wrong, guys. This is a big hurdle. We worry about getting it wrong. And we mustn't. Look at Ava Marie, our youngest member of the group. She's not afraid to get it wrong, and she just dives in. And, you know, a couple of times I've just chosen a picture and gone, wow, it's Ava Marie's, because I like the picture. Don't be afraid to get it wrong. If you think it's a portrait, dive on in, do it. An inquisitive squirrel from the local cemetery. It's a lovely picture of a squirrel, Jonathan. I like the expression, I like the engagement you've got. I'm guessing you had to crop this very, very heavily indeed, because it's very, very grainy. Now, I don't mind a bit of grain, but the squirrels are not easy things to photograph. They move fast, they're not very big, and to get close enough is difficult. But you've caught a great little moment, you found a nice little pool of light, and you've got a great little moment of engagement. I'd love to know, Jonathan, if you sort of made a noise, a squirrely noise or something. Because, hello Jonathan, you're here. Very often when photographing animals, or indeed people, sometimes there's things you can say or noises you can make or sounds you can create which make those little moments. There's a deer sanctuary not far from Brockenhurst, where you are, Emily, in Boulderwood Drive. And they're wild deer. Sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not. I was down there doing a one-on-one photo training day with someone, and there was loads of deer there. The light was just right because it was late afternoon, so they're backlit. The sun's coming in over the trees, and behind you've just got the forest and the trees and the deer. Thing is, the deer had their heads down chewing on grass. It's not a very interesting picture, is it? What do we want? We want engagement, just like Jonathan's squirrel. So here's a little thing. With the deer, I told the guy who was with me, just get your camera ready, get it all focused up, get your shot framed. Then I got a twig, just a little thin piece of wood, and snapped it, and it goes snap. Instantly, all of the deer up, and they're looking, because that is a natural sound that alerts them to a predator. So instead of a load of deer with their heads in the long grass or their asses pointing towards the camera, we've got a whole herd, and they're all, boom, looking straight at the camera. These are little things you can do. These are photographer things. Photography isn't just cameras and lenses and things. Morgan Clean says, I was making sheep noises today. You were doing that when you came on the last workshop. I make sheep noises too. There's nothing wrong with a sheep noise. Anyway, let's keep moving on because we'll get nowhere. It's nearly half past. I can't believe it. There's some lovely ideas here. I'm going to talk about another picture which I totally love. Jeff Muse. It's very Banksy-esque, isn't it? And I'm not necessarily a huge Banksy fan, but beautiful, beautiful light. The reason I wanted to talk about this is because I like the brave composition. I love the fact you've got this little girl's face right down low in the frame. Hello to you, sir, too, Jeff Muse. I love the way you've got this little girl's face down low in the frame. You've got some gorgeous light going on. People who don't understand light, stop looking at the balloon and look at the light. Look at the little girl's face. Look, the left side, her right, the left side looking at the picture is nice and bright. There's a light source, probably a window, I don't know. I'm sure Jeff will tell us in a moment. And then the side closer to us is darker. The light is wrapping around her features and making them prominent and stand out. There's little sparkles in her eye. Now that same light, which is working so brilliantly on her face, is highlighting this little string on the balloon. But look at this beautiful halo of light going on around the balloon. And I think it is a window because there's a reflection of one in the balloon. I don't know what the plain background is. Yes, window lighting, says Jeff. This is a study in some really great light and a gorgeous, brave, interesting, contemporary composition. What more can I say? Yeah, I was very, very drawn to this, Jeff. Again, I'm going to say though, is it a portrait? I'm not sure. It's a very powerful picture. Maybe it is. I'm on the fence with this one. What do you think, guys? Come on, Y or N? Yes, no, or F for fence? Everybody, throw something into the chat, please. Do you think this is a portrait or a documentary, or you're not sure? I'm torn. Clive says it is a portrait. Matthew says good evening, sorry for being late. Paul Wright, yes, yes, yes. Fence. Julia. Okay. Yeah, most people are saying it is. Most people agree with you. And I think it probably is. Either way, it's a gorgeous picture. I'm sorry it's not further down. I agonised over this one quite a lot. Maud McLean says documentary. Yeah, possibly. Maybe we should mix it up a bit and do another portrait challenge, but it'd be a documentary portrait challenge. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? Claire Thomas in the private mentor group, she set everyone the challenge to shoot a magazine cover, which I thought was a brilliant thing, because you've got to really think, because you've got to have a vertical image, you've got to allow for space for type that's going to go on there, and it's got to be a picture which says something about something. Is it a sport? Is it a hobby? Is it a pastime? Is it a person? Is it about makeup? Is it about home and garden? What's it about? Great challenge. And she came back and judged it and gave feedback. Not a portrait, but lovely, says Nick Caffrey. I'm going to say I don't know, but it is a gorgeous picture. It is a gorgeous picture. Joel, I need to speak to you, Joel. I noticed this one when I was choosing some of my favourites. I don't know if you're here, Joel, because I know you are down in the Philippines. Joel was in the private mentor group too, and the man was so dedicated. He's getting up like at 3 in the morning to come and do this. 2 o'clock. Right. Joel said you found a portrait photo once where the entire scene was kind of like blown out highlights, except for the eyes, eyelashes and eyebrows. Very, very high key. So if you've got someone with dark hair, dark skin, of course you can do it in the computer, but if you've got someone with darkish hair, dark eyes, dark eyebrows, you can get the nostrils, the mouth, the eyes and the hair and certain parts of the features to stand out, particularly if they've got pale skin and a pale background. And then you can overexpose the whole thing, and it's a very high key, arty sort of a look. I really like it. I used to do it quite a lot. But it hasn't quite worked for you, Joel, but 1000% for giving it a go and trying. And it was obviously good fun. So why didn't it quite work? Look at the left side of the girl's face. That's her right side. That side is really blown out and the other side isn't quite, because you've got the light kind of falling off. These things are often easier to achieve if the light is coming straight into the face. So if she had that same pose but the light source was above the photographer's right shoulder, just slightly further away than that, but over the right shoulder, so the light was coming straight into the face, then it would have worked a lot better. Particularly I think if the eyes were straight towards the camera. I used to do this a lot back in the days when I used to do my own black and white darkroom. Just checking the comments if there's anything I need to say. But yeah, cracking pitch, cracking attempt, Joel. Didn't quite work. Give it another go, my friend. I know how committed you are to getting your photography rocking and rolling. Sarah Moore, is it a portrait again? I'm not quite sure. Portrait of my granddaughters. They do love each other, really. You can see that in this. It is a lovely picture. It is a portrait. It feels, it's on the edge of a documentary portrait, isn't it? But I like the fact you've got them engaging with you and very, very natural expressions. That is so important. I think you could have got away with being further back, to be honest, in this case, because where the girl at the bottom, where her arm is cut off, it's a bit of a shame. If she had that arm, if she had a hand on her sister's knee or something like that, that would work. Do you know what I mean? So the arm was disappearing and coming back again. We don't need to see the elbow. That would work. But also maybe if you were just a little back a little bit more, so we could see, you know, full length, or maybe even the whole ensemble, if you like, both of them. But it is a beautifully natural picture, definitely delivering an insight into these two little girls. They're obviously having a great fun time, and they're obviously very fond of each other as well, which is brilliant to see, guessing that they're sisters. Simon Hookway, it is a natural portrait. Very, very, very true. So many here. Philip Gray. Hello, Philip. It's a good fun picture. It's a good fun picture. Not a traditional portrait. You did catch some wonderful personality. You certainly did that. It's a nice picture. I like the lake going off into the distance and all the rest of it. I don't know. I think it is a portrait because you've certainly caught some personality here and some fun. And you've told us a little bit about this person and where you are. I quite like the light too, again, because we've got texture on her face. Yeah, I can't really say anything more. I'm not sure what to add on that. But I do like the picture. Ah, right. Now, if I remember correctly, right. This is Kenneth's picture. So here we can actually see our youngest member, Ava Marie. Hey, Ava. I know you're there. The youngest photographer in the group. Now, I don't know where the other one is because there's also a picture which you took, Ava, which I think is better than your dad's. I don't know if I'm going to find it, but I will have a look and see. Kenneth, the light's a bit harsh, and Ava's obviously engaged sort of in something. She's kind of not quite looking at you. Now, I get it. I can see there is something with one eye, but it's almost like, or it looks like that anyway. But she's not quite engaged. Also, I'm not so sure about your light, Kenneth. I like your background. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what to add on that one. It's just to the left of Ken's picture of Ava Marie. Thank you, Susan. Yeah, there it is. So here is Ava Marie's picture of her sister. So we've just seen the photographer, now we're seeing the picture. I think this one works a little better. The light is nicer. I don't know if you had a flash on, Kenneth, but I don't think Ava did. And I like the light. Look, you see how the light is falling across the face. That nose shadow is a bit strong. And Ava, little hint, little tip for you. Get your sister to wipe her lip. I think she's either been drinking squash or her nose is a bit runny. She needs a tissue. Exactly, Beryl Franklin. Nice light. So, and I like the way you've included things around her, I think, in a slightly more pleasing way than your dad. So, sorry, Kenneth, you're going to have to step up a little bit, my friend. But good work, Ava. And it's nice to see you. Let's just keep moving down a bit and see what we've got. A portrait of a mushroom from Dan Drummond. Dan, you're a very accomplished photographer. Is a photograph of a mushroom, no matter how beautiful and perfectly taken, a portrait? I'm not sure it is. I think it's possibly, is it wildlife? I don't know what you call it, nature photography. Beautiful photograph, Dan. But hey, you're good at this stuff. Very good. but I'm not quite sure why it's in a portrait competition. Let's just keep moving down a little further. Stephen Lawson, what have we got going on here? I do like pictures of kids. They're just fun. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know about you. I see kids running around doing stuff and I just think, oh, I remember being like that. Do you know what I mean? Just like charging around doing things. I remember being a little kid going for a walk with my dad and imagining that I was driving a Willys Jeep. You know, we were walking down a bumpy track. I was in a Willys Jeep. I don't know what my dad was doing. Absolutely brilliant. I like this because I like the happy expression. Now, I know we don't have engagement into the camera, but Festus said the previous picture was a fungi. Yeah, well, never mind. I know we haven't got engagement, but it is saying a little bit about this person. I like the fun aspect. I'm guessing you may have taken that with a phone. I don't know. Because it's quite a wide angle lens and it's giving that sort of intimate up close feeling. It's a shame about the background. It's very much a sort of taken at that moment, I guess. It's a happy moment. You took a picture of it, I think. A little more than a portrait. But it is a nice photo nonetheless. Frog in my throat. That's better. A mug of tea. Who's this? Barbara. I wish I knew how to. Is it Titone? 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 I don't know. But thank you for being here because you've been here for years, which is fantastic. Barbara, I think you have really worked on this, haven't you, to get a portrait, and it is most definitely a portrait. It's a very classical portrait. The thing we've got though is your background is just intrusive. It's intruding on the picture a little bit. Now I think that your portrait sitter is probably sitting very, very close to the background. Little tip for you all, guys. Move your portrait sitter away from the background because then you can make the background go a little bit out of focus. Because we've got this big white bit here and the textures of the rocks, Barbara, they're kind of distracting. It doesn't quite work, but I do like the catch light in the eyes and the happy sort of natural expression. It's a very classical portrait. Exactly, Festus. Depth of field could be shallower, and it's much easier to do that if the person, the subject, has got a distance between themselves and the background. Yeah, I think it's pretty good. Let's just keep rocking and rolling forward because there's some smashing things. Here's a very classical looking. Hello, Annette. A really nicely done classical. I'm guessing it's studio. Yeah, 3 lights. A moody classic. There you go. So you've got a main light coming from the camera onto the right of the camera, a fill light from the camera left, and a very dim light on the background to add some depth and separation. Absolutely, shot with f2.8 for a shallow depth of field, so the eyes are nice and sharp and in focus. Look at the eyes, they're nice and sharp, the ears are soft. Out of focus, because eyes are windows into the soul. So what are we talking about light? So what's all this thing about light and lights? People say, you know, but I haven't got studio lights. What we tend to be doing with studio lights actually is mimicking daylight. There's an abundant source of light all around us, all of the time. On dull days, on rainy days, on sunny days, on days when the sun is in and out. It's understanding where the great light lives and how to use it. All of that is in my online masterclass in photography course. Lots of you have done it, and if you're still puzzled with these, you need to go and do the light exercises some more. If you're someone else who is puzzled by this and you've watched endless YouTube videos trying to figure it out, the thing is, trying to learn everything from everyone doesn't work, because one person might say one thing and then the other person will contradict it. Now, I'm not saying either of them are wrong, it's just their way of doing things. Choose someone, stick with it, learn their way, then go and learn someone else's way. There isn't a way, the way. There is just light. How you use it is up to you. Just like there is clay, and then there are sculpting knives and bits of cardboard and cones and wheels or not with wheels and wet hands or dry hands and all the different things you can use to sculpt the clay. There isn't, this is how you sculpt clay. Light is your clay. Your camera are all the little tools that you sculpt it with. Go and get on my masterclass, my online course. There's a link in the description. Please go and do that if you haven't done it already, and practice, practice, practice. There are gazillions of exercises. Annette, I'm sorry, I'm back to you. Look at the light that Annette has created. We've got a brighter side of the face and a darker side of the face. This is coming from the main light, and the darker side is coming from the fill light. The main light is the bright one. The fill light is set a little less just to fill in the shadows. So there's some detail, but still shadows. Then Annette has another light behind just to put a little bit of a highlight on the background. But the best thing here, Annette, is how you have created a rapport with your setter. Look at the look on the face, the eyes, the connection. It's great. It's great. Very often we can try and do a portrait of someone and we're so lost in our camera and our thinking and our worrying and trying to get it right and hurrying because we don't want to upset someone or waste their time, that we make the person feel uncomfortable. It's really important to engage. You don't have to make them comfortable. An uncomfortable portrait works just as well. It's not your job to make them feel at ease, but it is your job to engage with them and not have to think about the photography. I saw a wonderful post by oh, for goodness sake, David Cunningham, on the Photo Creative page with some of your sports pictures. David's doing one-on-one private mentoring online stuff with me. He's out in Riyadh. But you said about you're slowly learning the muscle memory of your new camera because it's not the same as your old camera. The old camera you didn't have to think because your fingers knew what to do to make it happen. The new camera you've got to think. I'm in the same boat. I've got a Nikon Z2 and I haven't used it enough. Drives me insane because instead of just being able to do it like I could with my old Fuji cameras, because my fingers know what to do because I've done it so many thousands of times, this is what we like to do. Kenneth, I have noted your comment and I'm going to come back to you because I think that's a really good idea. Let's move on. Look at a couple more pictures. Beautiful picture, Annette. Let's just keep rolling down a bit more. Just look at these pictures. Who's this? Martin Smart. Hey Martin. A cheerful mare. Martin, this is very definitely a documentary picture. You're going to hear this said a lot tonight. It's not a portrait. It's a picture you took of the mare at an event smiling at someone. A portrait would be they are aware of you. You are doing something together. That would be my assertion. There's some lovely things. Who's this? Emma Hughes. Hey Emma. There's things about this I really like. Again, I quite like the light and shade. I like there's a sort of a soft bluey haziness to it as well. That sort of works. It's a shame you cut off the paw. That was the thing I noticed with the little thumbnail. Remember to look all round the frame, as our friend Alison says, border patrol. Look all round the border. Always remember to do that because we get lost in the decisive moment, particularly with a dog. I make all sorts of crazy noises when photographing animals and people sometimes because I want to get a reaction. Making sheep noises, mooing at cows. Cows speak French, but you've probably heard me say that. All cows speak French wherever they are in the world. Gary, I like this. So this is a self-portrait. I like your light and I like the way you've thought about it. I'd say it's a cracking selfie. The way you've done it by sitting on the stairs to create these lines which frame you. I don't know where the light is coming from. Um, it could be an open door, could be a window, maybe you've set up a light, I don't know. But the thing which to me is really working very, very well in this portrait is the connection between your face and expression and your hands. It's the face and hands, but the face is very slightly brighter than the hands. So it is very much an engagement with your face followed by your hands. Now that's part, I don't think you've used a snoot or anything like that to light the hands separately. Wow, you lit it with a phone. Gary has just said he's got a phone on the left. Look at the things you can do. Peter Schmidt, if he's here somewhere, we were doing some private mentoring online. The things Peter has been achieving just using a phone and a couple of torches photographing glass in his office. Some of it's amazing. He does like a little whiskey glass ornamental stuff like that. These are the things. So Gary's lit this just with an iPhone. Turn the torch on, shot the picture. You don't need this fancy stuff. You need to be able to think like a photographer. You need to know how to use the camera. Go and buy my masterclass. And you need to think like a photographer. So when you can use your camera, go and get my 7 building blocks of photography. Don't get the 7 blocks until you've learned how to use the camera, because it won't make any sense, because it doesn't tell you how to use the camera. It tells you how to use this thing in your head. Great work, Gary. And I love the fact that you used a phone to light it. So we've kind of come down to the end here. Now there was a couple of things I noticed. Somebody took a picture of the Stig in the Bewley Motor Museum display. I'm not sure who it was. I'm not going to go and look for it right now, but that's just lazy. Lovely picture here from Richard Jones. It's a statue, Richard. It's a nice picture of the statue, and I do like the lens flare. I'm not a lens flare police. I like it. It adds something. You've got beautiful light on the statue is why I picked it out. Look, these little highlights, just kissing the edge, the way the light is. Look at the light on the throat here, the rim light around the guy's face, the textures it's bringing out in his clothes, and that gorgeous shadow. Light is everything. So, okay. What more do I need to say to you? If you're watching this and you're wondering, right, Photo Creative, this is the Facebook page. You can come and chat and meet all these amazing people in here, share your photos, talk to people. It is on my website for the challenges. Those of you who are here or in the group and you're thinking, well, where are the challenges? How do I find out the dates? Go to my website, go to Inspiration Photo Creative. There are links all over the group as well. And this is where you get to find out all about it and where the challenges are. There are examples and things. I recommend you read this stuff. And if you want to make a donation to help the group keep going, you can do that here, and you can cancel them here as well. It's that simple. So let's change my screen and go and have a look. First of all, let's just, I'm sorry, you're just going to have to put up with looking at me for a minute. There we go. Let's get that sorted out. But I'm really impressed, everybody. You put a lot of work into this, and I didn't expect so much, because photographing another human being can be a slightly scary thing. I get it. And absolutely big round of applause to everybody for getting stuck in and giving it a go. Jane Barnes has just said it appears only 2/3 of us have liked this. Please click the like button. Thank you, Jane. Yeah, please do it, guys, because these are the things which help keep Photo Creative going. All you got to do is just go and tap or click the like button. That's all. It's not going to cost you anything. Nothing like that. You go and do that. I'm going to swig some tea for a moment while you do it. Indeed, Kenneth Caldwell. And this has been an amazing journey for me too, guys, because, you know, I get off on teaching. I love sharing my knowledge, but more than that, I love it when I see you guys pick up a concept or an idea and run with it. That is the most brilliant feeling. when somebody gets in touch and says, hey, you're never going to believe this, I've just been commissioned to do this, my picture's been published there, or I've just done these, I've done my first wedding, whatever it is, that buzz, knowing I played some small part in that, in helping you on your journey. I can lead you to the water, but it's not me that does the work, it's you. It's you who puts in the hours, who puts in the practice, who does that. So, you know, watching this group evolve and the level of the photography is amazing. Right, there's a couple of things I want to just talk about. One of them, I just want to ask, this probably isn't the best place to do this, has anyone heard from George in our group, George Stevenson? Has anybody heard anything from George? I probably should do this as a post, but it just popped into my head. Has anyone heard from George Stevenson? Yes or no or whatever, just say something in the chat please, or if you feel it's something you want to send in a private message. Yeah, I'm worried about him too, Julia. I have sent him a couple of private messages. You know, he's been with this group since right at the beginning. He's got the most amazing sense of humour and quirky photographs. One of the most generous souls. His spirit is wonderful, the way he looks after everyone. And I'm a little bit worried not having heard anything from him at all for quite a while indeed. Okay, no worries guys, but it's good to know you're on the case as well, because we love George. Okie doke. Now what? First of all, oh, that's not supposed to happen. That's what's supposed to happen. Cameras don't take pictures, London seminar and photo walk. That is really close now, guys. I think there's 35 people coming. Can you imagine the buzz that's going to be in that room? 35 people engaged in a conversation. This isn't me lecturing. This is real. This is in a room. This is with human beings. And I want you to stick your arm in the air and interrupt and ask questions. Because when you ask a question, it's probably something that someone else thinks, oh, that's a good question. I hadn't thought of that. And you're helping everyone in the room. This is a conversation between a bunch of people just like you in a room. I'm leading the conversation for sure, but we will look at the thought process of photography, answer questions, get ourselves inspired, and then the afternoon we've got to walk along the River Thames in London, where there is just so much stuff to take pictures of, whether you like street photography. Here's one from a few years ago, and I love this moment. I was lucky to capture it. Dan there was taking a picture of something, and the lady in the short sort of skirt on the other side obviously thought he was photographing her, and he isn't, and it's just a moment I managed to capture. You can see other photographers on the steps in the background. You know, if you like cityscapes, stuff like that, come on that Cameras Don't Take Pictures. Go to the website, find it. There's probably a link in the description, I can't remember. The other one is Lanzarote is coming up. It's a great place. I didn't put the bloody picture on, did I? I'm sorry. That's the one of the lady in the short dress thinking she's being photographed from Cameras Don't Take Pictures. There's guys, look, there's other photographers on the steps photographing people. That's the street stuff. But you don't have to do street stuff, because there's loads of other really cool stuff to photograph on that photo walk. Now don't go to sleep because I'm talking about workshops and wanting you to buy something, God forbid. This is what keeps the boat afloat. So, you know, and you'll have a great time. You'll learn stuff. So come on, stop procrastinating. Lanzarote, such a great place for blue skies and abstracts and white buildings and landscapes and waves crashing into blooming caves with volcanoes in the background, and amazing sunrises and sunsets on this peculiar landscape. I know you're not asleep, Jane Barnes, but I do get you on the other side of the planet. So please, please, please. Yes, you are, aren't you, Jeff? You're coming on a one-to-one day. We're meeting up in person. I'm really looking forward to that. But look, get yourselves on a workshop, because, you know, am I going to do this forever? I don't know. But this is a way that you can learn. I'm very good at teaching the stuff I've spent 35 years learning, and I love doing it with you guys. So cameras don't take pictures. It's very soon. Get yourself on it. Let's have a look at some pictures, because I think this is a cracking portrait. As you know, I look at things and I come back to them and I think about them. Bob Krause, and it's a self-portrait. That takes quite a lot of skill, because you've got to think about not only your photography and your light and your camera, you've also got to think about being the sitter in the photograph. That's quite a thing, you know. Look at the light. We've got a bright area on the left, and that is lighting the side of Bob's face. Again, we've got the shadow side. Learn to look at light and shade. Look at the colours going on here. We've basically got two colours besides flesh tone and greybeard like mine. The colours all work. They're very harmonious. But the biggest thing is we've got some great light, and you have very generously given us a window into your own soul there, Bob. I think it's a brilliant picture. I really do like it. Next, which jumped out at me, is from our friend Crystal Bartholomew, up there in Northwest America, I believe. I could be wrong, correct me. So this is very much a candid portrait, but it is so much a portrait. This is not a documentary picture, because we are being told such a lot about this person, this little girl. Look at that daydreamy quality Crystal has brought to the picture. She shot it with a longer lens and a wider aperture, but look at the environment. Everything is very pastel, very gentle. There are no distractions going on anywhere in the background. It is a really, really lovely portrait of this little girl, just lost in a moment. I don't know what she's doing, what she's daydreaming about. And this is what I mean. I want those daydreaming moments. We have no time to stand and stare. If you're on my newsletter, I'll talk a little bit about that actually in the newsletter, which will go out after this. So if you're not on my newsletter, I only do it once a month, so you're not going to get bombarded. You can sign up. There's a link below this. Yeah, we have no time to stand and stare, and as children can do that. They have all the time in the world. A day lasts an eternity, not the blink of an eyelid like it does now for me. Beautiful picture, Crystal. What more can I say? Lovely gentle light, a lovely gentle picture, lovely gentle colours, and a fantastic moment. And people who may be thinking, yeah, but how do I achieve that? Look at the picture, learn how to use the camera, learn how to think like a photographer, and you can photograph anything. A very different style of portrait. And I love the fact you've gone for a style, Graham John. It's just like fantastic. I really, really love the fact you've gone for something completely different. Silver screen Hollywood glamour. Now I'm hoping you took this in the last month, because there's a lot of work you put into that. Getting someone to dress up, to pose, you know, whether you put the light on there with a light or in post-production, I don't mind. It is still very, very much that over-the-top Hollywood glamour. The way you've dressed the set, all of it. There's some really lovely light too, because look at the rim light. Look at the light on this lady's arms. We've got lovely directional front light on her face, which is making it go dark, back across her cheek. Remember, light and shade. This is what makes a picture work. But also we got that highlight all around her shoulders and on her forearm, separating her from that darker background. Really beautifully done. Really beautifully done. And it's different. I never know what to expect with you guys, because yeah, this journey that I've been privileged to come on with so many of you, and you know, more people joining in as well. It's just totally amazing. Next we got our friend Louise Cooper. I don't think we see many of your pictures, Louise, but I do remember that when we do, they usually have some impact. And if I'm right, I think you're in Australia. Again, what another lovely dreamy moment. You know, I was saying some engagement between the subject and the photographer. Don't get hung up on that. We've just looked at two, three pictures where there isn't engagement with the camera, but it's still a portrait. It's not as easy to do, but when you can get it right, it can be very, very powerful. Again, we've got another daydreamy moment. I love the way she's cuddling the teddy. I love the drapes and the way the light is coming through them. The window light, again, light. Look at the light on the teddy's face, a bright side and a dark side. The way it is washing across the girl's face. It's the light coming through the drapes, which is making the textures and shapes in the folds work. So yeah, I think it does work, because I'm also thinking that that's not quite like, would someone just sit there like that? Maybe it's a candid moment, I don't know, but I like to think this is a portrait and that Louise has had some part in working on this. I think it's a great picture. I'm just looking at a few comments. Glenn says good, but surely not a portrait. Yeah, I don't know, I think it is. Jane says the light and composition is really lovely. Festus loves the soft blue light. Beverly likes the light and combination. Light, love the colour combination. That's what I'm trying to say. Hands are lovely and expressive. Very good point, Alison. You're good at noticing details. They are. Look at the positioning of the hands. It's really good. I like it a lot. Completely different sort of picture, which absolutely... If this isn't a window into the soul and spirit of this man, what is? It's a cracking shot, Maud. I love it. I don't care you took it on your phone. I think this is such a window into the soul of this man. Look at that face, look at the character, look at the expression, look at the eyes, look at the engagement. I love the position of the hands and all the rest of it. I don't know, but knowing you more, I don't think you positioned those hands. It's just he's there, and you asked him if you could take his photograph, and he's like, ah, Jesus, yeah, and having the blarney and lots of fun. I think it's a great portrait. It's an environmental, natural portrait, and to me, it just works. I like the fact that the background is soft and out of focus, because that background could be very, very distracting if it was sharp. There's still detail in the sky. It's great. I like the soft pastel. I don't know what more to say. It's a cracking picture. So now we're kind of coming towards, well, no, we're not coming towards. We have come to the one which I kept coming back to as my personal favourite image of the month. And I will tell you why. I think, Bjorn, you've done a great job. I'm looking over there because I'm looking at this picture big, because it's only little on that screen. I'm not ignoring you. I totally get what's going on. I think there is a window into the soul here. I like the happy expression, the fun of it. Look at the colours, they work. We got the blue in the sky, we got the blue of the tabletop. They're not the same shade, they're different types. You could call it turquoise, that's splitting hairs. Look at the colour of the drink, the girl's top and her hair. We've got colour combinations all working together. Look at the composition. The street is just holding those sides together and framing this lady. This is, I'm guessing you were having a drink with a friend, Bjorn. I hope you're here, because I would love to know. I'm just moving that so I can see the chat. But it doesn't matter. The light is working. The light on her face is working. Also, it's taken with a very wide angle lens, which makes me believe it's probably taken on a phone. I could be wrong. I don't care. Phones have cameras. It's not the camera that takes the picture, it's you. Cameras don't take pictures. Come to London. It's the wide angle lens gives that sense of intimacy and fun. When you're using a short lens and you're close to something, you get distortion. And people say, oh no, you get distortion with a wide angle lens. Nonsense, you can use that distortion. It is a tool in our armory to create something. And it gives you a sense of humour and intimacy, of being close to, because you are physically close to. If you crop, you don't get the same feeling. But if you use a wider lens and you get close, you do. And I think it's absolutely brilliant. Yeah, sorry, I got distracted by a comment. Mike, you missed the one with the lady looking out from the hole in the paper. Sorry, yes, sorry. Yeah, so that is why I kept coming back and I chose this one as my picture of the month. The colours work, the expression works, the light works, the environment works, and the focal length and the way you've taken the picture. There is deep relaxation, and I do think it has a sense of fun and says something about the person in the picture. So that, my lovely friends, brings us to the end of this particular Photo Creative live feedback. If you want feedback, if I didn't choose your picture, I apologise. Well, no, I don't apologise. If I didn't choose your picture, it's just like I can't talk about all of them. There's too many. If you want feedback and you want some mentoring, I have a small group of photographers. You can sign up and do that. Go to the website, go to the Learn Photography bit. You'll find it. You're a grown-up. Yeah. So go and do that, because we meet up a couple of times a month. There are different challenges and there's feedback, and also I'm getting some serious A-list photographer guests to come and meet you and chat with you. This is a chat thing. As you know, I like to engage in both directions. So thank you all for being here. It's completely brilliant to see you. The next challenge will go live in a little while. The newsletter will go out at 9 PM, just under an hour our time. You will get that. I haven't forgotten, Alan. I think the easiest way is to just do this off piece. Let's send me a message to the group, please, and just say what it is, because I'm seriously interested in that. I think it's a good idea, but this probably isn't the place to discuss it. I hadn't forgotten. I was going to send you a message, so let's turn it around. You send me a message. Be well, folks. Take care. And come on, there's a handful of places left in London. Come. London's easy to get to. Come and have a nice time. I want to meet you. Be well. Take care. I'll see you all next time.